Welcome to Inmo Investments. I am Alex and I am here today with Shelley Starkey, our office manager, who deals with hundreds of inquiries every day and also with many property listings or clients interested in actually selling their property here in Spain. So today we would like to talk about which is the most effective way of selling your property in Spain. What are the insider tips? How can you make most out of your property? Save money and make it in an effective way so that you don't end up getting stressed or having any problems with the sale. Shelley, you are dealing with so many inquiries and property listing requests. What are the tips that you can actually provide for our clients interested or considering selling their property in 2024?
Okay, well, there are two main words that you really need to consider when selling a property here in Spain, and that is preparation and presentation. Now, both are intertwined. Now, there's a famous saying as well that if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
I think that's so right.
Yeah, definitely.
Preparation is probably everything.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an important decision when you decide to sell your property in Spain, whether you're looking to either upgrade to a new property, something larger, or downsize to something smaller, or even if you're looking at moving back to your own country. We have that a lot with clients here that have decided they've spent some great years here in Spain, but now it may be time to go back to their own countries. Perhaps they have family commitments. Usually we tend to find it's a grandchild or new additions to the family that people are wanting to go back and spend more time closer to their main circle of family and friends. So we do find that a lot, that people tend to consider marketing and selling their property at a certain stage in their life. It's quite often cyclical here in Spain. They'll spend a number of years here and then look at going back, as I say, to their homeland.
I guess there is also the scenario of people actually wanting to stay in Spain. Does that make any difference when it comes to selling?
To a degree, no, not really. I mean, it's the same presentation and preparation you would have for selling your house, whether you're going back to your own country or you are staying here in Spain. The basic concept is exactly the same. You're looking at preparing your home in the right manner so that we attract the right buyer. Now, of course, there are certain things you can do to prepare and present your property to make it more appealing to a buyer. One of the first things is obviously first impressions. The same as when you go to a job interview, you want to present yourself in the best manner, you want to look the best, you want to be the best candidate. And that's what we want your home to be as well. We want it to be the best candidate for potential buyers. So the first thing to look at would be curb appeal. And that goes back to first impressions. So perhaps decluttering the garden, tidying it up, if there's some paintwork that needs doing, fencing that needs refreshing.
Absolutely.
Everything from the first impression, because when somebody walks up to your house, that's what they're going to see.
Exactly.
And we need to frame it in the best light possible. So it's a key factor.
I definitely agree with you. It's being a key factor because very often we have the experience that potential buyers look at little issues or problems at the house,
Absolutely.
whether it's the paint or some damage
Absolutely.
or whatever. And what they do is to immediately use it to negotiate and push down the price, don't they?
Totally, yeah. It's a bargaining tool for them. If they start to see issues or problems, or even if it's something really minor, and we know often that they're trying to use that as a bargaining tool, but they can be easily negated by taking care of that firsthand.
Absolutely, I agree with that. What does happen actually with that part of clients that is actually or has been living in a property for, let's say, 10 or 15 years, for a very long time, and they do want or they do need to stay in the property until it is being sold?
Yeah, that can be a tricky issue. We appreciate that. I mean, myself included, you know what it's like at home. You accumulate so much stuff.
Too much.
Quite often it's stuff you don't need. We think, oh, well, put that away for another time and we'll use it whenever, and it never happens. So one of the major factors would be trying to declutter as much as you can and also depersonalize, because sometimes buyers don't have vision. They can't see past your personal items. They can't see past perhaps bulky furniture. So whilst trying to maintain, obviously, your home as it is, because you may need to still live there, the tip would be to declutter and depersonalise as much as you can.
So that they can actually see themselves.
Yeah, so they can see themselves how they would live there. So, you know, I'm not saying to strip it back to be completely minimalist, which a lot of clients like, but just try and remove certain items that may not appeal to a broader spectrum of buyers. It can be tricky, though. It can be really tricky when you're living there full time. It's your home, after all.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not easy. But it's a very good example we usually see at the new build properties, the way they present them. They are so neutralized and they are like so clean and free of anything, so you can you literally walk in and you see yourself like, I'm going to put a cupboard there, or my...
Absolutely, they're quite impersonal to a degree, but obviously they have clean lines, they look clean and tidy, and it's a look that you should really aim to get in your own home, whilst obviously still maintaining the level of you know, what you're expecting to live in. So yeah,
absolutely. So the actually sale of the property begins with the preparation in order to have a nice presentation. And
absolutely,
there I would like to come to the second step. Presentation. How does that actually happen? How does it happen through us? I mean, presentation is everything.
Of course.
How can the owner contribute to an effective presentation, and which is the role we play in that presentation from our side?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, choosing a good estate agent, obviously, like ourselves, we can advise you on the best routes to take to declutter your home, depersonalise your home, pick out any faults. And unfortunately, when a house has been lived in for a number of years, there are minor faults. You know, a little bit of paintwork may need touching up. This room may need repainting. This may need fixing. That may need fixing. There are a number of things that can be done, and a good estate agent will walk you through what potential features or fixtures that may need a little work on to help promote your house in the better light. Now, we also do have a sister company, Costa Blanca Home Staging, that can assist you from the minor things to even a major refurbishment. Now, that works in adding value to your property. So whilst it may seem like an expense initially, it's an investment, and it's also an investment for a future buyer, because you're going to gain that money back and more in presenting your house in a much, much better light.
Absolutely. The more you invest, the more you will get back from the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Because people will find less objections to negotiate or...
Exactly. You know, if a house is in absolute pristine and immaculate condition,
there's nothing
what can they negotiate with?
Absolutely.
They can't say, oh, well, it needs a new kitchen, or it needs a new bathroom, or this needs repainting, or that needs doing. It doesn't happen. We have actually done a number of refurbishments from minor to major on a lot of properties, and help them achieve a much, much quicker sale and get a lot more money than what they were originally intending to get, or that they could have potentially got had they left the property in original condition. I
agree. The projects we actually had, they attracted more potential buyers.
Oh, totally.
And it reduced the selling time significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
In comparison with any other normal properties.
Totally.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
Coming back to the presentation itself, I mean, in terms of presentation, I think it's very important, like to provide maximum exposure to the properties and to actually bring it to that target segment, to actually find the right audience.
Yes.
And to attract it. How do we actually do that? What are the tools that we can offer our clients to promote properties? Well,
again, it goes back into preparation, the word preparation, and that's choosing the right agent that can discuss, as we've mentioned before, the possibilities of certain things that may need doing in the property. Now, once your home is as it should be for marketing, we employ the best tools that we have for marketing. Videos such as this, we do live video walkthroughs. Where possible, and for certain properties, we can do drone and aerial footage. We do fantastic photography. We've got some really great in-house photographers that know the best angles to showcase your property. So, yeah, I mean, we really are the full package when it comes to presenting your home in the best property.
And that is because we actually count with our own dedicated marketing department.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got our own dedicated marketing department. We have our own videographer. We have our own photographers. We have our own drone pilot, which would be yourself. So yeah, we cover all aspects in making your home look really, really good.
just talking about presentations, how it plays an important role, like bringing it actually, after having done the homework, bringing it out there, showing the property.
Yeah, absolutely. You can look online and you can see, I mean, the first port of call when people are looking to buy a property are the property portals. Everything is done predominantly online in the first instance.
That's a good question I wanted to make you actually, like, which is the main source, where are most of the clients coming from? And you are just saying it's coming from online sources.
It's coming from online sources, absolutely. It's coming from property portals, it's coming from social media, which is absolutely a huge at the moment, and we are fortunate to have one of the largest presences in social media, whether it's from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, we're there, and we're promoting your property there. So, it's definitely important to get somebody that is targeting all these different areas and promoting your property in the right way. And going back to what I was originally saying, when you're looking online, you can see, obviously, thousands of properties. Now, some of them are not presented in the best light. You just need to look at some...
Sadly.
We're not going to name names here, but, there are a lot of agents that, unfortunately, do not do a good job in presenting your property in the right way. Some of the photos are horrific, they're dark, they're out of focus, there's clutter everywhere. They just don't make a property look appealing.
Put off any potential buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. And as if you're scrolling through and you're looking at properties, you look at a property that's dark and the photos are... frankly horrific.
You just go to the next one.
You just go to the next one. Yeah, you're looking for for photos for properties that appear bright, light, clean, tidy, and that's the way we want to present your home. And hopefully, I think we do a really good job in doing that.
No, thank you for that. I mean, I really agree with that. It's so important to show the reality, not to exaggerate. But
of course.
Also show it from the nicest possible side.
Sure, certainly, yeah, absolutely.
That's great. So, in regarding presentation, which is a very important key factor here, and what other tips can you give to our clients? I mean, apart from the presentation, what other things are important for listing your property? I mean, there is a very important aspect that very often we forget, which is like the legal aspect or documentation for properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the experience we have very often is that when you don't do the homework, like gathering your documents, making sure any extensions are legalized or your documentations are in order, it actually prevents you from selling your property in Spain.
It can certainly slow down the process. Yes, if you're not prepared, as you mentioned, if there are illegalities, if you've added an extension, you haven't had the proper community authorization and also the proper certificates from the town hall, then yes, this can delay to a degree a property sale. And sometimes, buyers want a quick sale. So if they're having to wait while you get yourself in order for the actual sale, you could potentially lose a key buyer. But we can advise on all the necessary documentations that you need to have in advance for ideally marketing your property. There would be the energy performance certificate, the habitation certificate, any certificates and authority from community and town hall. If you have done any extensions, if they've not already been authorised or legalised, pool, for instance, installation of a private swimming pool, that may need to be regularised at the town hall. Obviously, we need things such as a copy of your deeds, etc. So, we can work through all the important documents that you need to be able to sell your property.
So this is actually something we can offer to our clients.
Yes, absolutely.
If they come here, they bring us the documents. What we do is we look through, we make sure, we just filter out what we need. We advise them if there is something missing.
Yes.
We make our due diligence report, our legal search. See if there is any extensions, see if the ownership is duly registered.
Correct.
And with that homework having been done, we are ready to go.
Yes,
or is there anything else to consider for selling successfully? Anything else that comes to your mind?
No, I mean, I think we've covered the majority of it. Everything, leads down to the two key words that I mentioned in the first instance, which is preparation and presentation. And obviously, we can assist with both of those things. If you're unsure of which way to go, etc., unsure if all your documents are in order, we can do thorough pre-checks beforehand and assist you in any way possible in marketing your property in the best light.
Well, that's great. There is one very important thing I wanted to discuss with you as well, which is price.
I was I was literally just about to say, actually, there is probably the most important thing to discuss, and that is price. Yeah,
we always
absolutely.
like to leave it for the last because, you know, if you haven't done your homework, if you haven't checked your documents, if you haven't prepared your property, there's no point talking about the price.
Yeah,
but
totally.
once you have done your pre-work, I think you're in a good position to actually discuss pricing, aren't you?
I mean, pricing, you know, it can vary. We do appreciate that sometimes owners need to achieve a certain price. Now, we will always try and work to achieve the price that you need. Sometimes it may be viable and sometimes it may be not. It really does depend on the current market, which is actually very good at the moment. And it also depends on comparable properties in the area. Now, of course, you know, we have decades of experience in the market. This is our area. We know it very well. We see properties come and go on a weekly basis in the area. So we're quite au fait with what kind of price a property can achieve. Now, going back also to the preparation thing that we mentioned before, we can assist you in attempting to get a better price than perhaps is concurrent with the market values at the moment. But again, it's something we would need to sit down and discuss with an individual buyer to see where we can assist them in, you know, preparing and presenting the house in the best possible light to get the best price for them. So yeah, I mean, you know, we know our market, we do our market research, we can assist you in getting the right price for your property.
Great. How do we actually set the prices? How do we find out the actual market prices for our properties? Where do we look at?
Well, as mentioned before, I mean, a lot of it comes from private and personal knowledge because we do know the market so well. So we know if X house sold in this community for a certain price. We know the historical pricing. We know what the current market is like. And also there are tools that we can use online to check what's effectively a little bit like a book value for a car.
Absolutely.
But for properties. So there are a number of tools that we use to ensure the correct pricing of a home. Because the problem is, if you're overpricing your home out of the market, you're not going to get buyers, you're not going to get interested parties, because they'll be looking at comparable properties that could potentially be cheaper or better. So, you know, pricing it is an absolutely key component to marketing your property correctly.
Absolutely. And last but not least, I think something important to mention as well would be the negotiation. I mean, once a price is set and we actually like bringing clients around, I mean, we very often have the situation of getting offers or like a potential buyer walking into the client's property and like dropping down an offer like, I'm going to pay you X amount, but without actually knowing the cost implications on both sides. Yeah. So what can you recommend to any house owners like receiving an offer from the street out of the nothing? Is it not important to really know the actual costs and the implications before selling?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we obviously, when we're looking at a potential seller, we will go through all the costs that are associated with selling a property, whether it's capital gains tax or non-residence tax, which are obviously interlinked. Non-residence tax are for non-residents, while we always try and discuss a bottom line with potential sellers in the first instance, because you tend to know how much you need to get from a property. Maybe you're looking at investing in another property back home or here, or downsizing. So, and we know that to a degree that they will need a certain amount of funds from a sale of a property. So, in both heads, in both ourselves as the estate agent and obviously the sellers themselves, we should have a fixed amount that would be a bottom line.
That's a good idea.
In mind.
Absolutely.
So we can tend to use and work from that.
I definitely agree, because you've got to set your limit. You've got to have your negotiation margin. Yeah. And it also depends like on your need of selling. Like. Yeah.
Quite often, a lot of potential buyers come out thinking that there's fire sales everywhere. That's not the case. No. It really isn't the case. Long gone are the days where, you know, people really need to get rid of them super quickly. I mean, yeah, to a degree, you may get an exceptional case now and again, but they are the exception and they are not the rule. So
absolutely. No.
Yeah.
And apart from that, I think it's very important to know your costs when you are selling, when you are negotiating.
Yeah.
I think you really have to sit down and know what are you actually receiving after accepting an offer.
Yes, of
Because
course.
that is the problem we see very often. People negotiating or like doing it without us, or just accepting an offer without knowing the cost implications.
Absolutely.
And when you then have accepted an offer and you realize you're losing another 10 grand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a shock for many, like, oh, someone should have told me that.
Yeah.
That is why it's so important that we usually take the time, sit down with the owners, sit down with the buyers.
Yeah.
Everyone has different cost implications.
Totally.
And make sure they actually know what is the net return you get from your property sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And we work all the figures out for them based on, if we sell at X, this is how much you will receive, because there are cost implications. I mean, obviously, there are things such as plus value, which is the amount that the government decides the land value has increased. There is usually, if you're a non-resident, they will hold 3% non-residence tax.
As part of the capital gains tax.
While they calculate the capital gains tax. There are definitely cost implications. And obviously, there are cost agency fees, so we don't work for free, fortunately.
Absolutely. No, that's been great. That's been really useful, really informative, Shelley.
You're welcome.
I think with these 5 elements, just to summarize, we've talked about the preparation of the property.
Yeah.
We've talked about the presentation after the preparation.
Yes.
Once the property is in a good state, you do want to present the house as good as possible.
Yep.
Through the right marketing and sales channels.
Correct.
And then we've talked about getting the documents organized,
Yep.
making sure you've got everything in place, making sure there is nothing illegal,
Yep.
the ownership is duly declared.
Correct.
A very important key factor, which is pricing. Price is king.
It always comes down to money.
Always.
Always.
And as a last 5 point, we've discussed the negotiation, which is obviously like the ending of the process.
Yeah.
Once the negotiation has been done, you obviously we seal a reservation, we initiate the buying process with that reservation, with the payment of a deposit.
Yeah.
And that obviously starts the actual selling process of the property, which usually takes about 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, it can be quicker. It can be quicker.
We've had
it can
deals
be longer.
Going through in a month or so as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it can be super, super quick. It depends on obviously the seller's position, and it depends on the buyer's position. It's just a question of negotiating and finding a time that works well for a time frame that works well for both.
Certainly. Well, we hope that these tips have been useful for you in case you are considering selling your property in 2024. If you have any further specific questions, please simply contact us or Shelley, our property expert, anytime. If you like this video, give us some thumbs up, subscribe our channels, follow our social media on Instagram and on Facebook. And we look forward to maybe seeing you here in Spain at some stage. Thank you for watching. See you soon.